Good morning. Sorry if you've just tuned in and not been able to see the outlook. Hopefully you can hear me now. Welcome to a morning outlook. Let's see if this one will run and run properly. So we'll start off looking at euro dollar as ever. Well, we found a bit of support into its weekly 8 moving average. Just pulled back into its weekly average there, 8 period. Finding, as I say, finding a bit of support coming from that. Just looking at the move here, and well, that might be enough. Shorter term time frame, very consolidated. It's got some potential here. It's just sort of setting itself up for a bit more of a move, but very tight old price action, consolidated here, pushed through, higher low coming through this morning. Is it on a turn? Well, we'll see if that 8 holds, but for now, it's a bit of a waiting game there. Just before I get on with anything else, of course, today we've got Bank of England. In fact, let's just go to the pound as I do so. So we've got the Bank of England discussions going on today. So let's have a look at that and just check. Sorry, just flicking across. Sorry if you'd tuned in earlier and the sound wasn't working. It's switched on properly now. Euro dollar then, sorry, the pound rather. I was just about to discuss the pound this morning, where of course we got the Bank of England meeting today, and that well, expected that there could be some tapering. Apparently the Bank of England currently holds somewhere around about 34% of all the gilts there, so it could be a case to start reducing that holding, and that's the expectation that's coming through. There's more talk of reducing holding than anything else. So we're in this sort of consolidated zone. We'll see what happens if that sort of drops out. Perhaps we'll get some movement. I said yesterday when I looked at this, it's too consolidated to trade, and sure enough, it was too consolidated to trade, and we could be seeing more of the same this morning. It's pretty consolidated where it sits at the moment. We really do. Well, personally, I would be waiting for that data to come out, and then it may just give it the release it needs. Could well be for the upside if they talk about tapering and being a bit more bullish on hawkish on the economy. We'll see how it develops, but at the moment it's a waiting game with the pound for sure. Dollar yen is another waiting game. All these markets, okay, they've had the holidays, extended holidays, but all the same, it's sitting there consolidated as anything. As we look at watch these markets at the moment, and it's very difficult to pick anything out. I've got a long-term swing on the yen. It's sitting fine for that. Maybe we'll get this sort of. I was looking at the range yesterday, just putting the trend lines across here, but perhaps need to just readjust these. But it's sitting in a sort of wedge pattern at this stage, and well, break out of that may see us pushing back up towards the highs there. Okay, that's pretty much it with the yen. Looking at the Aussie dollar, another one which is just really consolidated on the upper time frames. So you look at the upper time frames, just consolidating. Yes, we might get a break at some stage. Very difficult to see where this is going. Maybe a break of that 77.54 area. We'll see. As I say, difficult one to work out today. So I tend to steer a lot clearer of these. Canadian dollar, and this is a bit of a different one. I'm looking at this from a bigger picture here, and it started yesterday, just broke the lows. It's been sitting around them for a long time. I'm short on a swing basis on this Canadian dollar, not far in, but it just broke yesterday. It's had its dance around over the last 16 hours or so, but I'm just looking for further downside on this. It's been a good trend so far, so it's really just taking a breakout in the trend. Yes, there were some divergences across these lows here. I think that's probably worked its way mostly off. There's two options when you get a divergence. You'll either get a decent retrace. Well, it's had a half decent retrace. It did get back to its weekly pivot, but aside of that, really it's not. To me, it's just showing that there's still further potential to the downside, and that's what I'm sitting in at the moment. Side of that, New Zealand dollar just sitting there consolidating. So a lot of these markets just consolidated. Perhaps we're due a bit more of a move, and we might see some dollar weakness come through, and see some of these markets get a bit more of a kicker. The New Zealand dollar broke out my trend there, gave a higher low and broke out yesterday. Missed that, but it's pushed up there anyway. A lot of the other markets are just consolidated. So let's have a look at the equity markets from here. Yesterday didn't really get up to much at all. Ended up pretty much where it opened. Status quo there, little graveyard doji. What for today? Well, the trend line across the highs here could see, it could be broken. A push above this 41.80 would give us a higher low and maybe more upside. And however you look at these markets, regardless of your thoughts and the expectation for some sort of bigger correction, they have just been pushing and pushing. So won't be surprised if we don't get if it doesn't just continue pushing up at the moment, for at least. Gold yesterday looked really quite bearish when I was looking at it in the morning, but it's with the dollar softening, and it's softening this morning, it looks like, well, we've got potential for a further push to the upside. It's certainly edging that way with gold at the moment, and again, the dollar weakness, and with gold it just follows that way. Another one that's benefiting from a bit of softening of the dollar, but also it's just done pretty well, is oil. As much as I was sort of looking at it quite bearish back here last month, it just consolidated, would not break down, and eventually, well, it's still sitting up there pushing up. How much more in it? I don't think it's got a great deal more in it. May run into the $70 bucks. Still waiting at some stage for a decent short, but for now I should just stand aside and see how it materializes. But I think as they reduce the tightening of production there, this will drop back, and we'll be seeing oil later in the year back towards $50 bucks. But there we go. There may be a big enough demand, pent-up demand, to for me to be wrong there, in which case, well, it will never break and trigger anything I've got in mind. Okay, that's oil. Looking across then into the Bitcoin world, and so Bitcoin here. Bitcoin yesterday made up its previous day's losses. It seems to be red green almost here. I get the idea we could just end up with Bitcoin consolidating. Looking at the other cryptos yesterday, and we've not seen a great deal of movement. The Ethereum is certainly the darling at the moment, and is being pushed up, getting towards that sort of those higher levels. What's it looking towards? 3.6 at the moment. Ripple's just not moving quite so much. Although it did pop this morning, popped up near enough to 180 again, 1.8. So we're seeing some movement. I just wonder whether these markets will consolidate a little bit more where they are, particularly Bitcoin. So it's sitting backwards and forwards a little bit, but may just end up in a bit of a consolidation around these areas where obviously people are invested in it and they see it as a sort of a longer term thing, don't particularly want to sell out of it. The fickle market sells out pretty quickly, but there'll be some people just sitting in there. They may have got in a bit higher, don't want to come out yet, but unless there was some sort of shake up, I think as I say, we could just end up with seeing more consolidation. Okay, sorry, this is my second attempt at this morning. Sound didn't work earlier. I wish you a great day, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now.